Hey everybody, how's it going? Today's vlog is gonna be about debt, debt, debt. That's that stuff where you owe money that you don't have because you borrowed money or whatever, and you don't have enough to be able to pay it back, right? Debt. What is wrong with debt? Well, there's several problems with debt. First of all, you shouldn't have any debt. I mean, if you have debt, it's okay, but you shouldn't have any unnecessary debt. What I mean by unnecessary debt is you bought stuff that you couldn't afford that you didn't need at the time, and you shouldn't be getting into debt buying silly stuff. So, what's the problem with debt? Well, the problem with debt is the whole entire system of annual percentage rates. No matter what you buy, you're buying it at an annual percentage rate. If you buy a house, it. You're getting a mortgage at an annual percentage rate. Buying a car, you're getting a car payment at an annual percentage rate. If you buy or have credit cards, you're having to pay them off at annual percentage rates. And if you pay the very minimum on credit cards, the minimum on your mortgage payment, the minimum on your car payment, it will take you forever practically to pay any of those off. And some places are worse than APR. Some places are like NPR or whatever. So, how do we fix the problem with debt? How do we fix the housing crisis, the mortgage crisis, the being in debt for long time periods of time to buy cars? How do we fix all this? Well, it is extremely simple to fix all this. We abolish annual percentage rates. It's that simple. Abolish annual percentage rates and we make all debts, all loans, term percentage rates. And we max out that term percentage rate to 10%. It is that simple. Get rid of APR and we bring back TPR, term percentage rates. Not only do we get rid of APR and bring back TPR, but we make a maximum amount of 10% to be the term percentage rate. Then, on top of that, we make there be period, I mean, minimum time periods to pay off said debt. For example, they got you paying lots of money to buy a car, and you have to pay a higher percentage rate the worse your credit is. So basically, you're being discriminated against because, well, you're a bad investment. Well, we would get rid of that with TPR. So, houses they want you to pay off in 30 years. Well, why do they want you to pay it off in 30 years? Because of APR. If we had term percentage rates, they want you to pay it off way faster. Cars, they don't mind you paying on that used car or new car for 10 years. Why? Because of APR. They're making their money off of interest, loans that you get from the bank. They don't mind you taking a longer time to pay off certain loans because of APR. The pawn shop, again, also uses APR. How do we fix these things? First of all, we need to create additional forms of collateral other than the only collateral that most places take. We need to make everything collateral. How do we do that? Well, if everything was collateral, then whatever you have is a form of collateral, and the places would have to pay you a percentage. And in my opinion, that percentage should be at least 50% of the item's value to pawn it. The pawn shops and the banks and whatnot should not be the ones who get to decide what they'll accept as collateral and what they will not accept as collateral. And they should also not get to decide how much they're willing to pay you for it. That's where they're making money. They having all the power. So get rid of that, create more forms of collateral, and get rid of annual percentage rates. If we have term percentage rates, loans would be shorter, and thus you would have to pay them back a lot faster. We can make minimum amount of time to pay them off too. For example, say a house, you'll have the minimum amount of time to pay it off would be, say, instead of 30-year mortgage, say 10 years. Car note, it's now almost 10 years. Say minimum, we reduce that down to a minimum of, say, 3 years. Uh, a loan from the bank, which used to be, say, 5-year loan, we reduce that now to the minimum of, like, 1 year, making more loans short term. Um, Pawn shop, those type of loans, they try to get you every month, so we'll make it like a minimum of a year to pay it off, or a minimum of, say, 6 months, which then, since APR has been eliminated and we got TPR, you know, their TPR has to be, would be, have a more minimum TPR. And of course, they have to pay you at least half the value of an item. So, and of course, they, at pawn shops, wouldn't be able to determine what is acceptable or non acceptable. If they did, we would need more pawn shops. Or maybe just maybe, we need more places that are like pawn shops, or we need more places that will accept what's called, will either buy or accept store credit. And when they pay in cash, they should pay 50% of the value of the item based off of a majority factor, which you could easily look up on, like eBay or MSRP or whatever that is. And then, how much it's reasonably selling for, half of that. Then, on top of that, give an additional like 10% if you want store credit. So you're not wanting cash. So these would be ways that we could fix the system of debt. Another thing that keeps people in debt is renting and leasing and not owning. How can we fix that system of debt? Well, we could pass laws that state that all rent and leases are lease to own, and that once you've put in and paid in the equivalent to the value of the house at the time of starting to rent, you would then receive the title deed from the owner of the house, or the title deed to the business that you're in, or the title deed to the loft, or the title deed to the apartment complex, or whatever. You will officially own it and not have to pay additional future rents ever. So if a business was leasing a place instead of a 5 year lease, it would still be the 5 year lease, but that 5 year lease would be you would own the place after the 5 years. Stuff like that. Now, if the place is connected to other places, there might have to be some kind of system in place to divide these lands more through titles, or maybe a co-op system might have to be put in place for certain things. But that's how we would fix a lot of the problems with debt. Nobody should be able to be making profits off of other people's debt. That's not right. People and businesses shouldn't be able to own and operate hundreds of pieces of property just so that they can make money off of rent. They shouldn't be keeping this land and not renting it out. They need more incentives to rent it out for less rent, and thus people who are paying the rent would want to pay the rent because they would want to own the place one day and own the business, own the area for the business one day. Places shouldn't be able to hold you in a grasp of paying rent forever. What I'm getting at. Anyway, that's some ways we could improve and fix debt. Credit cards, again, term percentage rate, max, mm, like only, and the loan's only a year, stuff like that. Anyway, have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, God's good all the time. All the time, God is good. Keep on gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Jesus loves you, Jesus God, Jesus Lord, Jesus King, Jesus is ruler, everything. And how do we fix, so like the college loan thing. The college loan debt should be the term of the college time period. So you should be working while going to college and thus paying off your college loan while you're in college. Like you go to a 4 year college, you get a 5 year college loan kind of deal, right? And others, how do, how do we stop the particular debt that everybody already is in? Well, I would, for fix the system that people are already in debt. What I would do is I would grandfather clause this 10% rule. And you would take a look and you would see that if they've paid the amount that their loan was, so first of all, all current debts would get consolidated into one, then that amount would be 10% of the interest of that amount. So if you've paid in from all the different places that you've paid in, the loan amount plus 10%, your debt would automatically be gone. If you owe still, you would only pay the additional amount that you owe to get out of debt. And if you have overpaid, they would have to give you store credit or whatever for the amount you've overpaid. So that would fix the people that are in debt right now. So basically, banks and loan sharks and places like that, car places, housing, mortgages, places, etc., would actually be losing. Now, how would that work with people who are paying rent? Well, if you paid the rent, we would go back to the time you started paying rent. We would get the value of the house or other area that you're renting. Like maybe you're a business owner and you've been leasing this area for your business. We would take from the time you started renting or leasing or whatever, the location, we would then take at that time period what the property's value was at the time you started renting, not the current time. Then, if you've paid enough money in to plus 10%, because the person has to make some profit, right? Um, Minus the amount the person had to pay, plus the amount the person had to pay for regular maintenance on the property. So, for example, you're renting and something happens to the house and the landlord pays for fixing the thing. Whatever the amount the landlord paid to fix the property will be added to the amount of money that you had to pay to own the place down the line. You understand that? Okay, good. So we go back to the beginning. Say your how. Then we figure out how much money you currently have paid for the place, and of course, if it matches or exceeds the amount plus 10% of the interest plus the amount he spent on the place while you were a tenant, then the if it meets or exceeds it, then he has to write you a title deed, or they have to write you a title deed to the place that you've been staying at that length of time. If it doesn't meet it, you just have to keep paying until it meets it or exceeds it. Yeah, so that's how we're going to fix housing problem, the debt problem, and all those problems. So, yeah. Anyway, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Jesus loves you. Jesus God. Jesus Lord. Jesus King. Jesus is ruler of everything. And have a great, wonderful day.